Shalom. I like to say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rakah Kodesh. Noble honors unto the apostles and elders of GMS, who are the true leaders of Israel today, and the salutations to my Akim, who do this work in truth and sincerity, who are risking their lives and their freedoms to do so, as well as the scattered Israelites who come looking like the heathen but are not, by way of their forefathers' seeds who are Israelite men. The true name of the Most High is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushai. And the Lord's holy chosen people are the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, as were the ones who suffer under the curses in the book of Deuteronomy. This is your brother Akalia from the GMS Jamaica Kingston camp, and this video is about the prophecy of World War III. Alright, here it is that we have in the news contention between Israel and Iran, and these are two major players in regards to biblical prophecy pertaining to the World War III prophecy. Alright, in Revelation chapter 11 and 14, it says, "The second woe is past, which is World War II, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly." So that third woe is World War III. So it is written in biblical prophecy to happen. Now, in this article, where it says Israel preparing military option against Iran, it says Israel's military is preparing a possible strike against Iran, the country's media has reported, citing defense and diplomatic sources. Tel Aviv has already notified the U.S. of its plans, facing no veto on such preparations. Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz told the U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin about preparations for a potential military strike against the country's arch-nemesis Iran during his visit to the U.S. Multiple Israeli outlets reported on Saturday. Gantz met top U.S. officials including Lloyd and Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Thursday. The defense minister told Americans that he had instructed the military to prepare for military option, a senior security source said, as quoted by Israel's Army radio. Alright, so this is a rumor of war. Okay, let me get the precept in the book of Matthew, chapter 24. It says, 24 and verse, let's see. Let's read verse 3. "And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?" Okay, so Yahushua mentioned a few things, and in verse 6 he says, "And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." Right, so this is a rumor of war. Okay, and it's going to happen. It's a part of biblical prophecy to happen, to hear about X country having tension with Y country and things escalating to a certain kind of level. But it says what it must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? Because we know before World War III happens, we look towards the Revelation chapter 13 prophecy, which is that microchip. Okay, so that has to come to pass first before the destruction can come. But what we're seeing is biblical prophecy in terms of what it says right here. Okay, and of course we know there has to be some kind of build-up moving towards the World War III prophecy. So these things that are occurring, obviously they count, right? Because it's adding to that eventual fulfillment of the prophecy, okay, which comes after that Revelation 13 verse 16 prophecy. Okay, but in verse 8 it also says, "All these are the beginning of sorrows," which is the time that we're in as well, the beginning of sorrows, the beginning stages of Jacob's trouble, the time of famine, pestilence. All these things are coming. Okay, and we're at the end of the rulership of the Edomites. So at the end, these things will be happening. Now, that says that, and as you can see, the U.S. is involved as well. This is just another one. Iran responds to Israeli drill rumors. A military official in Tehran has warned that aggressors will pay a heavy price in response to numerous reports that Israel was seeking U.S. help or at least approval in preparing potential strikes on Iranian nuclear sites. Okay. Since talks resumed last week aimed at breathing new life into the nuclear pact struck between Iran and world powers in 2015, a steady stream of reports in Israeli and U.S. media hypothesized about possible other options if diplomacy fails. According to the latest stories, Israeli Defense Minister Benny Gantz informed U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin about preparations and drills for a potential military strike against the country's arch nemesis during his visit to the U.S. Okay, so the U.S., another major player, of course. America is known as Mystery Babylon the Great. It is also known as spiritually Sodom and Egypt. And it says that America is going to be a part of this World War III, of course, right? At the climax of World War III, America is going to be destroyed. But Israel is going to do some things, all right, to draw out America. It says in Jeremiah chapter 15, verse 45, "Therefore hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh that he hath taken against Babylon," which is referring to America, "and his purposes that he hath purposed against the land of the Chaldeans." This, the land of Chaldeans here referring to the Edomites, the so-called white people. "Surely the least of the flock, which is the state of Israel, shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them." So Israel, the state of Israel, is going to cause America to go out to war. All right, and it's going to happen over there in the so-called Middle East. Okay, as it says in Joel chapter 2 and verse 20. "But I remove far off from you the northern army." The northern army is talking about America, the US and NATO, "and will drive him into a land barren and desolate," which is talking about Saudi Arabia, "and his face toward the east sea, which is the Euphrates River, and his hinder part toward the utmost sea, which is the Red Sea, and his stink shall come up, and his ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things." So as you can see, the East Sea, the Red Sea, is over there in so-called Middle East, and same thing with Saudi Arabia. So that's the area of contention over there. All right, that's the valley of Jehoshaphat, Yahweh's judgment. All right, it's going to start over there in the so-called Middle East. That's where they're going to be gathered. And so the state of Israel is going to draw out America. Iran is going to be in the midst of this, and then Russia is going to be a part of this as well, as an ally of Russia. In Ezekiel chapter 38, it lets us know that there'll be a guard unto them. Ezekiel 38 and verse 2, "Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him." So the Russians dwell in that land today, all right, of Gog and Magog. That's why it's referring to them. "And say, Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I'll put thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I'll bring thee forth all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, the military, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords." So those are the allies. Persia, who are known as the Iranians, who are the biblical Elamites. Okay, that's one of the allies of Russia. Ethiopia and Libya, the African nations, so-called, they are the biblical Hamites. With them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarma of the north quarters, and all his bands, and many people with thee. She's talking about Turkey, the Turkish people. And yes, Turkey is a part of NATO, but that relationship is being destroyed. All right, and Turkey is leaning slowly but surely more towards the side of Iran and Russia. I believe that they even got nuclear capabilities from Russia or Iran, one of them, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on it, if I'm remembering correctly. Anyway, it says, "After many days thou shalt be visited." Verse 7. "Be thou prepared, and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them." So Russia is going to be a guard unto them. So once anything pops off between Iran and the state of Israel, America, then Russia is going to be a guard unto them, and Russia is going to push out and push through. All right, and at the end of it all, it's going to happen, as it says in Revelation chapter 16 and 16, it says, "And he gathered them together in a place called, in the Hebrew tongue, Armageddon." So Yahweh Hashem Yeshua is going to bring them together. In Joel chapter 3, it tells about gathering the Gentiles over there, the heathen over there, prepare a war, wake up the mighty men, let the weak say I'm strong. You know, that's happening. So Yahweh Hashem Yeshua is going to gather all of these heathen into that area. They're going to go to war. There's going to be a lot of death. And then at the climax of it, the missiles will be shot to destroy America, which is known as Mystery Babylon the Great, once again. And that's just what it is. But this is simply just, you know, moving towards this prophecy and that war and rumors of wars. All right. So just another World War III update through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yeshua. Let's say all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh Hashem Yeshua, Bashim Kodesh. Wa Abad Babal. Shalom.